Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to today's session. So we have brought for you the marathon sessions for the SEBI Grade A 2024 Phase 2. As you know that the examination is just around the corner and we are bringing for you the marathon sessions so that you can push your limits and you can further practice a lot of MCQs. Okay, so today we are going to practice the MCQs for economics. I have brought nearly 100 questions for you for economics so that you can have a good practice, have a good run for economics. Okay, so am I clearly audible? Give me a thumbs up if I am clearly audible. And without any delay, let's start with the session. But before that, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Telegram channel as you will get the PDF of the session in the Telegram channel. So if you want to get the PDF of the session, you can get it in the Telegram channel of EduTap, for which the link is provided in the description box below. Okay. So hello everyone, welcome to the session and I hope you are prepared for today's session. So let's get started with the first question. So suppose the slope of the downward sloping demand curve is 5 and the quantity demanded of X is 20. If the price is 1, find the intercept term. So we will be going a little faster because this is phase 2, this is not phase 1, that you do not know the basics. I know that all of you must be knowing the basics, so we will go a little faster so that we can save your time. With the saved time you can do more revision, right? So let's go a little faster in the examination as you require to go a little faster with accuracy. Okay, so we will go a little faster. So here the demand curve. So demand curve has the equation that we have autonomous consumption or autonomous demand is there, that is the intercept, and you have the B, that is the slope, and here multiplied by the price. So this is your demand equation. So you have to find the intercept term. So demand, quantity demanded is given as 20. The intercept term you have to find minus B is given. The slope is given as 5 multiplied by 1. So directly by seeing this equation you can tell that the answer will be how much? It will be 25. Yes, so Pooja and Shruti has given the right answer. The answer is E, that is 25. So minus 5 will come here, will become plus 5. So it will become 25. So intercept term is your 25. Okay, so the answer here is 25. Now coming to the second question, that what will be the impact of favorable changes in consumer taste and preferences for a good. So there is a favorable change that is coming for the consumer taste and preferences for a particular good. Have on demand for normal goods, assuming that the price remains constant. So at the constant price, this is your demand curve. There is a favorable change that has come. So your demand curve is going to shift rightwards or leftwards. So your demand curve is going to shift rightwards. The demand curve will shift rightwards, increasing the demand. So your demand is going to increase at the same price. Price is not changing. So only your demand is changing. Your demand is increasing because of the favorable changes in your taste and preferences. So your demand curve is going to shift rightwards. Okay, demand curve is going to shift rightwards. I hope all of you have given the right answer for this question. Easy question, I will say. So you should be able to give the right answer. So there is a shift whenever there is exogenous variable, whenever there is external variable. So the endogenous variables are inside the model, inside the diagram. So here you can see, here we have the price, here we have the demand. So if the change is coming because of the price or demand conditions, when the price is increasing, demand is decreasing, or when the price is decreasing, demand is increasing. So when both the variables are changing, or the change is coming in the second variable because of the first variable, so that causes movement. Shift comes because of exogenous variables, because of the outside variables. So if there is increase that is happening in demand, there is the rightward shift that is coming. If there is decrease in demand that is happening, there is leftward shift that is coming because of exogenous variables. Okay, if your income is increasing, if the taste and preferences are better, or population is increasing, then there is at the same price the demand is increasing, so there is a rightward shift. If at the same price the demand is decreasing, there is a leftward shift. Okay, coming to the next question, a previous year question has come like this. So I hope you will be able to answer this question, that find the equilibrium price and quantity for the following demand curve and supply curve. So try to answer this. So demand equation has been given as quantity demanded is equal to 10 minus 2p. The quantity supplied, that is minus 5 plus 3p. Okay, minus 5 plus 3p. So try to solve this, very easy. So it will become 15 5p. So it will become P is equal to 3. So the price is 3. The price is 3, and here directly you can tell that the first A will be the answer, right? The price is 3. That means quantity demanded will be 3 to the 6. So 10 minus 6, it will be 4. Quantity demanded will be 4. So yes, A is the right answer here. very good everyone, giving the right answers. So now coming to the next question. So try to read this question very carefully and try to answer this question, okay? So you take your time, take your 30-40 seconds and try to answer this question. So try to understand that we want to make a cake. The flour is what? Flour is an input. Flour is an input in cake. So when the price of input is increasing, then what will happen? If the price of inputs are increasing, if the price of raw material, if the price of intermediate good is increasing, if the price of flour is increasing for the cake, so you can understand that the cost of production of cake is increasing. When the cost of production increases, the quantity supply will decrease, and with the decrease in quantity supplied, the resulting price of cakes will increase. So this is the basic idea, that if the price of inputs, so supply curve will shift leftwards, or the aggregate supply will decrease, will shift like leftwards when there is the increase in price of inputs, if there is increase in wages, or if there is the such kind of changes that are coming in the cost of production. If the cost of production is increasing, there will be leftward shift in the supply curve and your prices are going to increase, right? So C was the right answer. Coming to the next question, very easy question it is, if you have the basic idea of the terminologies. So which of the following statement is incorrect in regard to the relationship between the demand and price? So in case of luxury goods, the demand tends to be elastic or not. So this seems correct, that yes, in case of luxury goods and in case of many substitutes, demand tend to be elastic, right? In case of necessary goods, demand tend to be inelastic. Inelastic means less elastic, we can say. Less elastic. So yes, in case of necessary goods, there is less elastic demand. Less elastic demand is there. In case of less substitute goods, demand tends to be inelastic also, that is also correct. If you have less substitutes, demand tend to be inelastic. In case of inferior goods, demand curve is downward sloping. In case of given goods, the demand curve is upward sloping, because the given goods, they break the law of demand. So here the answer is E. All of you have given the answer E. That is so good to see. So simply here, the normal goods, for the normal goods, you can understand that the demand curve is downward sloping. As your price is increasing, the demand will fall. Even in the case of inferior goods, the demand curve is downward sloping with the price. As the price is increasing, demand will follow. But for the given goods are a special category of your inferior goods. So given goods, as your price is increasing, the demand will increase. So for the given goods, the demand is upward sloping, while for the inferior goods, the demand is downward sloping. So demand curve is downward sloping for the inferior goods if we are talking about demand and price, and for the given goods, the demand curve is upward sloping. Now who can tell me that if we are taking income and if we are taking the inferior good, then the demand curve will be for the inferior good, the demand curve will be what? And for the normal goods, if we are taking the income here and the normal goods here, the demand curve will be what shape? So for the inferior goods, if we are taking income, the demand curve for the inferior goods will be negatively sloping, because when the income is increasing, you are decreasing your consumption of inferior goods. While in the case of normal goods, what will be the slope of the demand curve? In the case of normal goods, if the income is increasing, your demand for normal goods is also going to increase. So for the normal goods, there is a upward sloping curve. Okay, so what is, madam, for given good? Demand curve is upward towards left. Yes, upward sloping. Na? That's why it is incorrect statement. Here the E statement is incorrect, because the given goods demand curve is not downward sloping, it is upward sloping, right? Got it? Clear? So remember that when we are talking about price and the goods, normal goods, downward sloping. Price and the inferior good, downward sloping, because they follow the law of demand, that if there is an inverse relationship, law of demand says that there is inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. If the price is increasing, quantity demanded will decrease. While in the case of given goods, there is a upward sloping demand curve when we talk about price. As the price is increasing, given good demand will also increase. Okay. Now, in case of income for the normal goods, if you have the income here. So if the income is increasing, the demand for the normal goods is also increasing. So the demand curve is upward sloping. While for the inferior goods, the demand curve, here we have income, the demand for the inferior good is downward sloping. When here we have income, when we are considering the relationship between income and the given good, the demand curve is what? What is the shape of the demand curve when we are considering the demand of given goods in case of increase in income? In case of increase in income, when your income is increasing, now what is the relationship of the given good with income? Downward sloping or upward sloping? Downward sloping or upward sloping? In case of given goods, income. Anyone? It is downward sloping. That's why it is said to be, the given goods are said to be a part of inferior goods, or the given goods is said to be a special kind of inferior goods. Yes, very good. Given goods are a special kind of inferior goods because they both have the same relationship with income, but given goods is upward sloping, that is different from the inferior good. That's why given good is a special kind of inferior good. Okay. So the demand curve for the given good, when we are considering price, the demand curve of given good is upward sloping, but when we consider the income, then the demand curve of given good is also downward sloping. Got it? Any confusion here? So this is the basic idea. And in case of luxury or non-essential goods or many substitutes, there is elastic demand that we find. That is, demand is quite elastic with the percentage change in price. There is huge percentage change in demand that is coming. While in the case of the necessary goods or less substitutes, there is less elastic or inelastic demand that is there. Okay. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question now. Here you have to tell the relationship between the elasticity and total revenue. So try to answer this question. Okay, I have started getting the answer. D. Okay. So what if the demand for farm crops is inelastic? How will a good harvest affect the revenue? So good harvest, that means supply has increased. Supply has increased. With the increase in supply because of the external conditions, because of the natural condition, the supply has increased. So with the increase in supply, what will happen? As your supply is increasing, because of the good harvest, this is the supply, this is the demand. So because of the good harvest, the supply has increased, it has shifted rightwards. So prices are decreasing, prices are decreasing. Now as the prices are decreasing, because of the good harvest, the supply has increased, or because of the natural condition, the supply has increased and the prices have decreased. So as the prices are decreasing, you can understand that here the demand for the farm good is inelastic. That means the decrease in price with a great percentage decrease in price. When the price is decreasing by a huge percentage, the demand is increasing by a very small percentage. Let's say price is decreasing by 50%, while the demand is only increasing by 10% or 2%. So the total revenue is going to decrease. Total revenue is what? Total revenue is your price multiplied by quantity that is being supplied, that is being demanded. So if the price is decreasing by a lot while the quantity is increasing by a little, you can understand that the total revenue are going to decrease. So total revenue will decrease because of a percentage fall in price is much greater than the percentage increase in the quantity sold or the quantity that is being demanded. So here the D will be the answer. I hope this is clear. I hope, yes. Even if you are giving the answer wrong, doesn't matter. Just understand that what mistake you have made and try to rectify that mistake in the examination. Okay. So this is the answer. So when in the inelastic case, the price increase will increase your total revenue, because when the prices are increasing by a great percentage, the demand will fall by a very small percentage. So demand will fall by a very small percentage, so total revenue are going to increase. In the case of elastic demand, would you increase the price or would you decrease the price? Tell me very fast, would you increase the price or decrease the price? Would you increase the price or decrease the price in the case of elastic demand to increase your total revenue? So if you want to increase your total revenue and you have elastic demand curve, as a supplier, you have an elastic demand curve, let's say, you know that the consumers have elastic demand. So you will increase the price or decrease the price? You will decrease the price, because with a small percentage decrease in price, there is huge increase in quantity demanded. So price is decreasing by a little only, but the quantity demanded is increasing by a lot. So your total revenue will increase by a lot. Yes, decrease in price. Okay. So elastic, if you have elastic demand, the given percentage fall in price will be more than offset by a large rise in quantity demanded. That is, the fall in price will be offset, will be overshadowed by the increase in the quantity, by the huge increase in quantity supplied, quantity demanded. So your total revenue will increase. So in the case of elastic demand, decrease the prices. In the case of inelastic demand, increase the prices as a supplier. Coming to the next question, very easy question, try to answer this. If you know that what are the different kind of goods, you will be easily able to answer this question. So here, when the price of good A falls, so price of, let's say, good A is falling and the quantity demanded of good B is also falling. So they are moving in the same direction. They are moving in the same direction, and we are taking two goods. We are taking two goods and they are moving in the same direction. So they are substitute goods. When the price of Pepsi is decreasing, then the demand for Sprite or demand for Mirinda or demand for other cold drinks decrease, because now you will shift to Pepsi because Pepsi prices have decreased. So as the price of substitute decreases, the demand for other goods, other substitutes decreases. So this is substitute goods. And can you tell me that what is the cross elasticity of demand? What is cross elasticity of demand? What is the number? Can you use the formula and can you tell me the cross elasticity of demand? So with the percentage, like as your price is falling by 2, so the cross elasticity of demand formula is change in quantity demanded of X, original quantity of X multiplied by the price of Y, original price of Y divided by change in price of Y. So change in quantity demanded is by 8. So your quantity demanded is changing by 8. Your original quantity was 48 multiplied by original price was how much? 6, and it has fallen to 2, like fallen by 2. So change in price of Y is 2. So can you solve this out? So 1 upon 2. So the answer will be how much? 0.5. Answer is 0.5, and it has a negative sign. It has a negative sign. That means it is a substitute goods. Okay. Sorry, it should have a positive sign. It should have a positive sign. Negative sign is for the complementary goods, right? Negative sign is for the complementary goods. Positive sign is for the substitute goods, because with the increase in the price of with the decrease in the price of Pepsi, there is decrease in the demand of other goods, and with the increase in price of Pepsi, the demand for other goods will increase. So they move in the same direction. So there is, in the case of substitute goods, there is a positive sign. In case of complementary goods, there is a negative sign. So here it should be positive 0.5. Okay. Yes, very good. Next is, this is the next question. Try to answer this question. So if the cross price elasticity between good X and Y is -2, so cross price elasticity or cross elasticity is -2 with a percentage change in price by 8%, what is going to be the percentage change in demand? You have to tell me. So here you have a negative sign. Here you have a negative sign that the cross elasticity of demand is negative. That means first of all they are complementary goods. So as the price of the good X is increasing, as the price of good X is increasing by 8%, that means the demand will fall by 16%. The demand will fall by 16%. So complementary goods, the cross elasticity of demand is negative in case of complementary goods. In case of complementary goods, okay. So as there is a percentage change in price, the percentage increase in price of by 8%, your percentage change in demand, the demand is falling by 16% as the cross elasticity of demand is minus 2. As the cross elasticity of demand is minus 2. Yes, they are complementary goods and there is decrease in, if the price of Y is increasing or if the price of X is increasing, the demand of Y is falling by 16%. So this is the idea. Now try to answer the next question. So suppose the demand for oranges goes from 10 to 20. Okay. So there is the change in demand by 10. And with that, the original demand is also 10. The income goes up from 400 to 500. That means the original income was 400 and the change in income is 100. So here, what is the income elasticity of demand and what is the nature of the good? Is it inferior good or is it necessary good or is it luxury good? So you have to tell me that. So try to solve this and try to answer this. So I have started getting the answer. The answer are different. Some are saying E, some are saying D. No, it is not inferior good because you can see that when the income is increasing, the demand is also increasing. The demand of oranges is increasing as the income is increasing, right? So when the income increases and when with that the demand increases, there must be normal goods. And normal goods are in the category of luxury goods or in the category of necessary goods. So in this case, the oranges are considered luxury in that particular country or in that for that particular person. Okay. So here you can see that the answer here, the income elasticity of demand is 4. The income elasticity of demand is positive 4 and it is a luxury good. It is a luxury good because when the income is increasing, with the increase in income, the demand is also increasing. Got it? Clear? If in any question you are having a confusion, you can ask me that what is like why this is the answer. Got it? Yes, it is a like the answer is 4 and it is a luxury good because you can understand that if normal goods for the normal goods there is positive income elasticity of demand. That means when the income is increasing, the demand for normal goods is increasing. Okay, now normal goods are of two types, necessary goods and luxury goods. If the income elasticity of demand is greater than 0 but less than 1, so that is necessary goods. Less than 1 means that with the percentage increase in income, there is the percentage increase in demand but by a lesser proportion. Okay, that is income is increasing by 10%, the demand of the necessary good is only increasing by 2% or 1%, so that is 0.1 is the answer. Okay, so for necessary goods there is less than 1 income elasticity of demand but greater than 0. That means for necessary goods there is positive income elasticity of demand but it is less than 1. For the luxury goods you can understand, for the luxury goods the income elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Okay, because they are the luxury goods. With the increase in income there is more increase in demand that is coming. So income is elastic when it is luxury good, when the income elasticity is more than 1. Income is inelastic for the necessary goods when the income elasticity is in between 0 and 1. Then for the normal goods, there is positive income elasticity. For the inferior goods, there is negative income elasticity. Negative income elasticity means with the increase in the income, there is fall. With the increase in the income, there is fall in the demand of the inferior goods. Okay. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question. So whatever till now you have understood about the shape of the demand curves, that is what you have to use here. So in case of normal goods, the price elasticity of demand is negative. That is correct. In case of normal goods, there is negative relationship between price and demand. In case of given goods, there is positive relationship between price and demand. So price elasticity of demand must be positive. In case of inferior good, the price elasticity of demand is negative, because in case of inferior good also, the price and inferior good relationship is negative or inverse. In case of inferior goods, the income elasticity of demand is negative. That is correct. In case of inferior good, they have negative income elasticity also. In case of given goods, now the given goods are a kind of inferior goods, because the income elasticity of demand for the given goods are also negative. So here the answer will be E, because E statement is wrong. E statement is wrong. Okay. So here you can see that for normal goods, there is positive income elasticity of demand, for the inferior goods negative income elasticity of demand, and for the given goods also negative income elasticity of demand. While coming to the price elasticity of demand, normal goods and inferior goods have a negative relationship with price, but only and only given goods have a positive relationship with price. Okay, so this is the idea. Now coming to the next question, when the producers bear the tax. So producers have to bear the tax. Producers will bear the tax in what situation? When the demand is generally what and the supply is generally what? So when the demand is elastic, when the demand can easily change, when the demand can easily change with the increase in price, the demand can easily change. So in this situation, the producers bear the tax and the supply is inelastic. The supply is inelastic or less elastic as compared to demand. So I hope this is very easy. Yes, here the answer is elastic and inelastic. So if the demand is very elastic and the supply is very inelastic, in that case the producers will have to bear the tax burden. Okay, if the demand is elastic, it can easily change, and if the producers impose the tax on the consumers, so the demand can easily change. That's why the producers here have to bear the tax. They cannot shift the tax to the consumers. So this is the idea. Is the answer here. You can read the explanation also. Next is identify the feature that does not apply to perfect competition market. Okay. Let's say for C grades, the demand is inelastic and supply is elastic, comparatively elastic, or if we are comparing the two. So in this case, who will bear the tax burden? In this particular case, the consumers bear the tax burden. So if the demand is inelastic, the consumers bear the tax burden. If the demand is elastic, the producers bear the tax burden. Demand is elastic as compared to supply. Okay, so always in comparison you have to take. So this is the idea. So if anyone had any confusion, I hope it is clear that for C grades, demand is inelastic as compared to supply. So that's why consumers bear the tax burden. Okay. Yes, consumers will bear the tax burden here. Okay. Coming to this question, that there are no barriers to entry and exit under the perfect competition. Absolutely correct. Every time, every firm is price taker and industry is price maker. Absolutely correct. Firms have excess capacity in long run equilibrium. No, in the long run equilibrium, the firms are producing at normal profits. Here we have zero economic profits, or here we have normal profits. So the producers are producing at the equilibrium point, where there is normal profits in the long run, as well as here we are producing at the minimum of average cost. So we cannot go, like if we go beyond this, there will be increase in cost that will happen, and that no firm will want. So the firm do not have excess capacity, because in the long run, the firm in the perfect competition compulsorily, in the long run, under the perfect competition, the firm compulsorily is producing at the minimum of average cost. So firms do not have excess capacity, so this is wrong. Products are homogeneous, correct. Consumers have perfect knowledge about the products, that is also correct. Okay, so here C was the answer. Yes. So next, coming to the next question, which of the following statement regarding the perfect competition is or are correct? That you have to tell me. Okay. So individuals. So in the perfect competition, the demand curve is horizontal. This is your demand curve, this is your average revenue curve, and this is your marginal revenue curve. So demand curve is horizontal. That means demand curve is perfectly elastic demand curve. You have a perfectly elastic demand curve, as there is a horizontal demand curve. Next, goods produced by different firms in this market are perfect complements. No, the goods are the homogeneous goods. So they are the perfect substitutes of each other. They are the perfect substitutes of each other. Next is cross elasticity of demand between the firms is infinite. So this is also correct, that the cross elasticity of demand, you can easily substitute one good with another. So it is infinite. So 1 and 3 is correct, and that's why C is the right answer here. Got it? Yes, goods are perfect substitutes. Very good. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question, that in which of the following cases the firm is making a supernormal profit. So there are supernormal profits that are being made, and this is under which of the following condition? See, equilibrium is always where the MC is equal to MR and MC cuts MR from below. MC cuts MR from below. Supernormal profits are when your average revenue per unit of revenue, that is your price, is greater than the average cost. Okay, so that is first condition seems correct. Now this is the condition for losses, or this is the condition for normal profits. Tell me very fast. So this is the condition for losses or normal profits. So when the average revenue is equal to average cost, this is the condition for normal profits or zero economic profits. When the average revenue is less than average cost, when the average revenue, when the MC is equal to MR but average revenue is less than average cost, this is the case for the losses. Okay, this is the case for the losses. So this is the conditions that you can read. I have explained you everything. I have told you everything. Okay. Yes, very good. Next is, in the long run, equilibrium under perfect competition, the firms earn what and the condition satisfied for the firm is what? So in the long run, equilibrium under perfect competition, the firms earn which kind of profits? Or in the long run, the firms are earning normal profits. Normal profits are earned in the long run, as well as the condition that is satisfied for the firm is that there is normal profits, that is there is zero economic profits, and in the long run the marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, that is your price also, and here the production is happening at the lowest, the equilibrium is at the lowest point of the LAC, long run average cost curve. So CE is the right answer, because in the long run you are having normal profits, that means zero economic profits, and your MC is equal to P. So zero economic profits means that here the total cost is equal to total revenue. Here the total cost is equal to total revenue. So this is zero economic profits, but you are having normal profits. Normal profits. Zero economic profits means normal profits, because in the total cost you have taken your minimum profits. Okay. So that is normal profits, but in the economic sense it is zero economic profits. So zero economic profits or normal profits is the same thing. So now coming to the next question, try to read the question and try to answer this very carefully. So let's see how many of you are able to answer this question. Yes, very good. So here, it's an imperfectly competitive firm is producing. If a perfectly competitive firm is producing a level of output where the marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and marginal revenue is below average variable cost, doesn't matter that whatever else is written. If the MC is equal to MR, and if your average variable cost is, and average variable cost is there, and price is equal to average total cost. So that is the price, that is your average revenue. Average revenue is equal to average total cost. So that means you are making normal profits, and that means you are at equilibrium and you are making normal profits. So you do not need to change your output. You do not need to change your output. So output should be kept constant. Output should be kept constant. So this is the idea, that if MC is equal to MR, and if the average revenue, like average revenue is greater than average total cost, or average revenue is equal to average total cost. So whatever the situation is, you will like keep your output constant. Okay. Next is, try to answer this question. So here you will understand about the shutdown point. So a perfectly competitive firm should reduce the output or should shut down in the short run if the market price is equal to market cost, and price is what? So your MR is equal to MC, that means you are at equilibrium point. But your price is what? Your price is equal to, or price is less than, or price is greater than. So what is the condition that is forcing you to shut down? If your price is not able to cover your average variable cost, then you will have to shut down. So if the price goes below the average variable cost, that means your price or your average revenue is not able to cover your average variable cost, then you will have to shut down. So the shutdown point is that when your price is equal to, that is your average revenue is equal to average variable cost, and this is the shutdown point where you have to take the decision that do you want to shut down or do you not want to shut down. But as soon as the price goes below the average variable cost, you have to shut down. You have to shut down even if you are at the equilibrium. So that is the idea. Okay. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Let's see how many of you are able to do so. So a monopolist produces 14,000 units of output, charge 14 per unit. So this is average revenue because this is the price, this is the average revenue. Marginal revenue is 8. So marginal revenue is 8 while the marginal cost is 7. So marginal revenue is greater than the marginal cost. And the marginal cost is rising also. Okay, so that means the marginal cost is rising, but the marginal revenue is greater than the marginal cost. So marginal cost is rising. That means this is the situation that marginal cost is rising, but it is below the marginal revenue. Marginal cost is rising, but it is below the marginal revenue. So there should be more production that should be happening simply. So the increase in output, which will reduce the firm's economic losses. So firm is making losses. Is it so? The average revenue, that is 14, is greater than the average cost, that is 10. So no, the losses are not happening. Increase the output, which will result in an increase in firm's positive economic profit. So this is correct because here the firm is making the profits actually. The average revenue is greater than average cost. So marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost. So increase the output, and with the increase in output, you will actually increase your profits. Okay. So this is the idea. B is the answer here. Very good. Coming to the next question. Which of the following statements regarding the monopolistic competition is or are correct? That you have to tell me. So monopolistic competition, in the monopolistic competition, there is a large number of firms that are present. So that is correct. Product differentiation is the hallmark of monopolistic competition. So correct. The demand curve faced by a monopolistically competitive firm is inelastic. No. Usually in the monopolistic competition, there are large number of firms that are close substitutes of each other. So usually the demand curve is elastic for the monopolistically competitive firm. So 1 and 2 is correct. So here the answer is A. Got it? Yes, the answer is A. Now coming to the next question. Which of the following statements regarding the profits made by monopolistic competition is correct? So you have to tell that which of the following statements is correct in regards to monopolistic competition firm. So firms are guaranteed to earn short-run economic profits? No, there is no guarantee in the short run. Firm may earn economic profits, that is positive supernormal profits in both short run and long run. No, there is no surety in short run. Okay, firms, or there is like in the long run, the firms, the monopolistically competitive firms only earn the zero economic profits, or in the long run there is only the normal profits that is earned. So in long run there is zero economic profits that the firms are earning. So that's why C is the right answer here. Okay. Now coming to the next question. When a monopolist practices price discrimination. Here we are talking about monopolist, that is monopoly. So if the monopoly is or monopolist is practicing price discrimination means that the monopolist is charging the higher prices, or it charges different consumers different prices for the same good. So here B seems like the correct answer, that different consumers are paying different prices, and there are 3 degrees of price discrimination. First degree is the highest price discrimination, where the consumers have to pay the highest price that they are willing to pay. Okay, so first price discrimination is that different prices will be charged from the different consumers, and each consumer will have to pay the highest that he is willing to pay. Second price discrimination is that there will be categories that will be divided, and different categories will have to pay different prices. In the third, there is market segmentation that has happened. So these are the 3 price discriminations. A and B, no. Price discrimination can be it sells at the highest price possible in the market, not compulsorily, because there is also the second price discrimination, and third degree price discrimination. Okay, so in the second and in the third degree price discrimination, the firm is not charging the highest prices. It only happens in the first degree price discrimination. Got it? That why the A is not correct? A cannot be correct. A cannot be correct because only in the first degree price discrimination, the highest, the maximum price can be charged. But in the second degree price discrimination, there are different prices for different groups and they are not usually the highest prices. Okay. In the third price discrimination, as per the market segmentation, there is price that is decided. Okay. So the B was the most appropriate answer. Coming to the next question, in the oligopoly market structure, there is the concept of king demand curve. So try to answer this. King demand curve shows that the price of a firm is sticky. That is correct. If you have a king demand curve, the price is sticky at the kink. So the kink can explain why the price and output will not change. So kink explains that the price and the output remains constant, and even if the cost curves or marginal cost is changing at the range of the kink, so even if the marginal cost is changing, the price and output does not change. So this is correct. The discontinuity of the MR curve implies that there is a range within which the cost may change without affecting the equilibrium price and output of the firm. So this is also correct, that because of the kinked demand curve, because of the difference in the elasticities, there is the different marginal revenue curves and there is discontinuity in the marginal revenues curve at the kink. So this is also correct. If the seller reduces the price, if a seller is reducing the price, the other firms will follow because other firms do not want to lose their market share. So if a seller reduces the price of the product below the determined price, his rivals will not reduce their price. No, they will also reduce the price. They will also reduce the price so that they do not lose the market share. If a firm increases the price, the other firms will not follow. This is correct. If the firm is increasing the price, then the other firms will not follow. But if the firm is decreasing the price, the other firms will follow. So this is your king demand curve. I hope this is clear. Now you can read it that the marginal revenue curves, because of the difference in elasticities, there is the different marginal revenue curves, and the higher the difference in the elasticities, the more the discontinuity between the marginal revenue curves. So this is the idea. Now, which of the following statement regarding the Bertrand model is not correct? That you have to tell me. So Bertrand model assumes that each firm expects that the rival will keep its price constant irrespective of its own decision about pricing. So this is correct. Bertrand's model does not lead to the maximization of the industry joint profit, correct? So in the Bertrand model, what is happening? That the firm, they are maximizing their profits, but the industry or the total or the joint profits are not maximized. In the Bertrand's model, productive capacity of each duopolist firm is practically limited so that the firm cannot easily satisfy any amount of demand. So this is wrong. In the Bertrand model, there is practically unlimited productive capacity. So this is wrong. Industry profit could be increased or the joint profit could be maximized if both the firms leave their assumption and they work they abandon their Bertrand pattern of behavior. Equilibrium is stable as the price cannot be increased or decreased further after reaching the equilibrium. So that is correct. So here this is the Bertrand model. They are not having the maximized industry or joint profits, but they are having the equilibrium at the competitive price. The equilibrium is where there is competitive price. Okay. So this is the idea. And in the Bertrand model, there is the capacity. There is the unlimited capacity to produce. Okay. So these are the different models. In the Cournot model, the assumption is that the rival, like I am assuming, firm A is assuming that I can change my output, assuming that the other firms will not change their output. In the Bertrand model, the assumption is in regards to the price. In the Edgeworth model, they also assume that what is assumed by the Bertrand, but in the Edgeworth model, there is disequilibrium and there is the price oscillation. Price keeps on oscillating because in the Bertrand model, there is unlimited capacity, but in the Edgeworth model, there is limited production capacity. So this is the idea. Now try to answer this if you know the basic idea. If you know the basic idea of the market structures, you will be able to answer this. Which of the following is incorrectly matched? Edgeworth, the duopolist, will decide about the price and assumes that the rival will keep their price constant, leading to the perpetual disequilibrium and price oscillation. Absolutely correct. Stackelberg, one duopolist is sufficiently sophisticated and he knows that the other firm is working in the could not assumption. Correct. Chamberlain has assumed that you can achieve the maximum joint profits if you recognize that there is the interdependence between the firms. Even if you are not making any cartel or something, still if you recognize your interdependence, you can achieve the maximum joint profits. That is also correct. Non-price competition agreements, here the price is being determined and you can compete on the basis of the product, okay, or the selling cost and such. So the style and the product, the selling activities you can do, but the price is determined. Dominant firm, the dominant firm leader, so dominant firm is the price leader, so he is the one that is deciding the price, and the other firms, the small firms, will have to follow the price. So the small firms are price takers, they are the price takers, they are not the price makers. Okay, so here the E statement was wrong and that's why E is the answer. So you can read about the different models. The Chamberlain main idea, Sweezy, Hall and Hitch has given the king, like they have told about the king demand curve, that the prices are rigid at the king. Sweezy has explained that there is equilibrium at the king to demand curve because there is discontinuity between the marginal revenue and such. Then there is the collusion, like these models, Stackelberg, could not, Bertrand, Chamberlain, Sweezy, they all are the non-collusive models. Now collusive models, cartels are being made, joint profit maximization is happening. Here the central agency is decided, the central agency takes all the decision, how much will be produced and at what price, and such decisions are taken by central agency. Sharing of the market is in the basis of non-price competition or on the basis of quota, the quantity is decided or the geographical area is decided. Price leadership, the low cost firm can be price leader or the dominant firm can be price leader. If the dominant firm is being the price leader, then the dominant firm will decide the price and the other firms will charge the same price. Even if they are making the profits, even if they are making high profits, low profits, they will charge the same price. And how, if the leader is to maximize his profit, he decides the price, the dominant leader decides the price. The dominant leader has to get into the market sharing agreements also, so that if the dominant leader wants to charge a particular price, the quantity that has to be produced with that price, the quantity that has to be produced should also be decided, and the sharing of the market should also be decided. So make sure that the small firms will not only follow his price, but they will also produce the right quantity to manage that price. So low cost firm is the low cost firm that can become the price leader, or in the case of dominant firm, the dominant firm becomes the price leader, and both of them decides the price, if like whoever the price leader is in the different models, and they also have to come into the market sharing agreements. Barometric price leader, he's like a guide. He's like a guide that is that the other firms should work in a proper direction. Okay, he is the barometric price leader because of his goodwill, because of his forecasting capacity. Under the could not duopoly market, if there are n number of firms in the industry, each firm will provide how much for the market. So there is a equilibrium. There is a stable equilibrium that is given by could not, that is each firm will produce 1 upon n plus 1. So if there are n number of firms, each firm will produce 1 upon n plus 1. So in the total market, for the total market, the production will be n upon n plus 1. Okay, so each firm is producing 1 upon n plus 1. Yes, so this is could not model. The could not or Bertrand model has said that equilibrium can be achieved, and in the equilibrium the firms are making profits, but the joint profits are not being achieved because there is the assumptions that are taken by the firms. Okay, now coming to the next question, that is which of the following statement regarding the price leadership in case of low cost and dominant firm is incorrect? That you have to tell me. So one firm set the price and others follow it, correct. For the leader, the behavior rule is to follow his maximum profits, MC is equal to MR, correct. If the product is homogeneous and the firms are highly concentrated, there will be one price that will be decided, correct. It allows the members complete freedom on their price and on their output. No, the price is being decided by the low cost firm, if that model we are following, or dominant firm. So price and output both are decided in a way. Okay, if the product is the difference is in if the product is differentiated, prices will differ, but so if the product is differentiated, that there is some differentiation in the product, prices can also differ, but the movement in the prices, if the leader is increasing the price, the other firms will also have to increase the price. If the leader is decreasing the price, other firms will also have to decrease the price. So the differentials in the price will be kept broadly same. Okay, so this is regarding the price leadership. Now coming to the next question. Yes, coming to the next question, try to answer this question. How can we convert the NDP at MP to the NNP at FC? So I hope this is very easy for you. Net, domestic, national. So domestic to national plus net factor income from abroad if you are going from domestic to national. Market price, from the market to factor cost, from market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes. From the market, you are going to factory. So deduct the indirect taxes and add the subsidies. Okay. So that is E is the answer here. NNP at FC is equal to NDP at MP. Add the net factor income from abroad and deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. Okay. So there is the conversion that you can see. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. So first of all, the factor cost. If you want to go from the factor cost to market price, add the indirect taxes from the factory to market. So add the indirect taxes and deduct the subsidies. That is correct. Domestic to national, if you are going from the national to domestic, deduct the net factor income from abroad because you are going from the national to domestic. From the gross to net, deduct the depreciation. Private income, in the private income, you want to see the income of the firms, the private firms and the households. So it is national income that is accruing to the private sector, that is the private firms and the households, plus the national debt interest. So you are getting the interest on the consumption, for the consumption, you have given the loans, so you are getting interest on that. Plus the current transfer payments that you are getting from the government, you are getting the subsidies, the households, unemployment allowances, old age pension. So these are the current transfers from the government that the households get, as well as net current transfer from the rest of the world. So you are receiving the remittances minus you are paying the remittances. So this is net, that is how much you are getting extra than what we are paying. So net current transfers are added. So private income is the income of the that is received by the firms and the households. Personal income is your private income. Personal income is the income of the household. So this is your private income minus the corporate tax, minus the undistributed profits, and minus the payment for social security provision by the employees. So employees, that is the people that are working, they also have to do the social security contribution. So this money is not directly received by the households in the year. So personal income, national income, personal disposable income, we are seeing it for a financial year. So in this financial year, you are not receiving this social security contribution. This is being taken away from you. So you are not receiving this social security contribution that you are making. So payment that you have to do, the money that you have to give for the social security contribution. So this is not your personal income because this is not being received by the households. Got it? So here E was the answer because the personal income, it is the private income minus the corporate profit tax minus the undistributed corporate profit. So deduct the part that is going to the firms. Okay, that is the firms are keeping this part of the profits. So that you have to deduct, as well as sometimes you also have to deduct the payments if you are paying for the social security contribution. If the households are paying for the social security contribution, that has to be deducted because this is not being received by the households. Okay, so this is the idea. Coming to the next question, now try to answer this question. So here NDP at FC, from the GNP at MP, from the gross to net minus depreciation, from the national to domestic plus minus the net factor income from abroad, minus the net factor income from abroad, market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes and add the subsidies. So GNP at MP is 12,000. Depreciation is the consumption of fixed capital, so that is 500. Net factor income from abroad is your net factor income to abroad is minus 600. So from abroad is the opposite. So net factor income from abroad will be how much? It will be positive 600. Okay. So net factor income from abroad is 600. So deduct the 600. Indirect taxes are how much? 1000. Deduct the 1000. And your subsidies are 1500. So add the subsidies. So add the subsidies, deduct the 1000 and 500. So this is crossed. So 12,000 minus 600 is how much? It is 11,400. So the answer here is 11,400. Yes, this is the answer. Okay. Coming to the next question. So try to answer this question very easy. Which of the following statement is correct? That you have to tell me. Okay. So from the gross to net, deduct the depreciation. So here depreciation is added, so this is not correct. Next is market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes and add the subsidies. So this is also not correct because here you are adding the net indirect taxes, so that is not correct. GDP at FC, this is NNP at FC, that is adding the depreciation. Okay, that is fine because net to gross. Add the net factor income from national to domestic, so this is incorrect. So only the B statement is actually correct because the GNP is less than GDP. GNP is less than GDP if the net factor income from abroad is negative, because if you know the formula, GNP is how much? GNP is equal to GDP plus net factor income from abroad. Let's say GDP is 10. GDP is 10. If the net factor income from abroad is negative 5, so you can understand that the GNP will be 5 only. Okay. So this is the idea that if the net factor income from abroad is negative, then the GNP will be less than GDP. So GNP is less than GDP if the net factor income from abroad is negative. So only B statement was correct. Got it? Molly, what is the question? In what scenario? All the other statements are incorrect, only the B statement is correct. Okay, only the B is the answer. Now try to answer this question. Which of the following components is or are not directly included while calculating the national income through expenditure method? So compensation of employees is not expenditure, this is income. Intermediate consumption is not added in the national income, so they are not included in the expenditure method. The gross domestic, so expenditure method is GDP at MP, where you add the private final consumption expenditure, where you add the gross domestic capital formation, then you add the government expenditure, then you add the net exports minus imports. So the compensation of employees and intermediate consumption, this is not a part of expenditure method. So here the answer will be 1 and 3. So that is D. Okay. So this is the answer. Coming to the next question. Now try to answer this question. Try to solve this question. So here this is expenditure method. So you are actually calculating GDP at MP through expenditure method. So you are having the personal consumption expenditure, that is 6,500. Then you have the government expenditure, government consumption, sorry. So that is government, central government and state government 2,500. Then you have gross domestic capital formation. So gross domestic capital formation is gross domestic fixed capital formation, the fixed capital formation that you are doing, as well as the change in inventories. You are adding the inventories. You are adding the change in inventories. That is, change in inventories is your closing stock minus opening stock. So you have the, you have the gross domestic fixed investment, as well as you have the change in business inventory. So you are adding this to make it gross domestic capital formation. So this is 1,300. This is 1,300. Next is the last one is your net exports. So exports minus imports. Exports minus imports is minus 300. That is your net exports. Minus 300. So this is how much? 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10,000. This is GDP at MP is 10,000. But you have to calculate the GDP at MP? No, you have to calculate the NDP at MP. So if we have the GDP at MP, if we have the GDP at MP at 10,000 and we have to calculate the NDP at MP, so that means from gross to domestic negative like minus depreciation. Depreciation is how much? Depreciation is your consumption of fixed capital, that is 1000. So deduct the depreciation, that is 1000. So the NDP at MP will be 9000. Okay, so the answer here is 9000. Any confusion, anyone? Got it? Clear? Here the answer is 9000. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question. So the value added method is calculating the GVA at MP. So GVA at MP you can calculate by value of output minus intermediate consumption. So this is the direct formula of GVA at MP. So you do not have to deduct the indirect taxes, or you do not have to do this. Just value of output minus intermediate consumption. So value of output is actually your sales plus change in stock. So value of output is your sales plus change in stock. So value of output minus the intermediate consumption. So this is the correct formula of the GVA at MP through the value added method. Now the change in stocks is your closing stock. The change in stock can be further opened as change in stock is your closing stock minus opening stock. So this would have been the correct answer, or this would have been the correct statement if here it would have been the closing stock minus opening stock. But opening minus closing is written, so this is wrong. Okay, so only the second statement is correct. So here 1 and 3 are incorrect. You have to find the incorrect statement. So 1 and 3 are incorrect. Only the second one is correct. Okay, got it? So C is the answer here. C is the answer. 1 and 3, you have to find the incorrect statements. So 1 and 3 are incorrect. So that means C is the answer. Got it? Nachiket, is it clear that even the third one is incorrect, because opening minus closing is not true. It is closing minus opening. Closing minus opening. Got it? It is closing minus opening. Closing stock minus opening stock is your change in stock. You cannot change the formula, right? So closing minus opening is there. So third one is also wrong. Clear? Just told you here it should be closing stock minus opening stock. Okay? Clear now? In the first statement, indirect taxes should not be mentioned. In the third statement, it should be closing stock minus opening stock. Okay? Yes, so 1 and 3 both were incorrect. Which of the following is correct regarding precautions to be taken while measuring national income of a country? So transfer payments are included in estimating national income? No, transfer payments are not included in estimating national income, because national income is earned income. Transfer payments are unilateral payments. Transfer payments are like unemployment allowance or the old age pension that is not earned. So they are not included. Value of service of housewives are included in national income? No, the value of housewives are not included, okay, in national income. Imputed rent of self-occupied houses are included in national income. So this is correct. So the C statement is correct, okay. The C statement is correct. Only the imputed rent or whatever you are producing for self-consumption, that is included in the national income, but the value of services of housewives and mothers, they are not included. So this is C is the answer here. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question now. So basically here you have to calculate the NDP at FC. Here you have to calculate the NDP at FC. So NDP at FC is your compensation of employees plus your mixed income plus your interest plus rent that you have plus the profits. Now profits are divided in between dividends, the corporate tax and undistributed profits. They are all a part of profit. So directly profit is not given, but the parts are given, okay, so that you can calculate. So here NDP at FC is compensation of employees plus rent plus interest plus profit. Now profit is your dividends that you are paying, or the corporate tax. From the profit you have to pay the corporate tax, as well as there is the corporate tax, undistributed profit and dividends that is there, okay, mixed income. So when you add all of this up, you get 10,500. So here, yes, P was the answer. That was 10,500. This was the answer. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question now. Which of the following statements is or are incorrect in regarding to the classical theory? That you have to tell me. saving investment equality is brought about by the flexibility of interest rate, correct. As per classical theory, the investment and savings, they are at equilibrium due to the interest rate, and the flexibility in the interest rate brings equilibrium in the saving and investment. There is no need for the government to intervene in the markets. That is also correct. This is also what the classical said. There can be deficiency of aggregate demand. No. The classical said that the supply creates its own demand, so there is no possibility of any deficiency in demand. There can be presence of involuntary unemployment. No. Classicals believe that always, or in the normal situation, there is always the full employment where the demand of laborers is equal to supply of laborers. So there is always full employment. So there is no involuntary unemployment. No involuntary unemployment. So the second, third and fourth statements are incorrect, and that's why the answer is E here. The answer is E here. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Now you have to match the following correct. Do the match of the following correctly. So this is your 37th question. Try to answer this question. So when prices are rising rapidly, like running of a horse at a rate of 10 to 20%, it is known as running inflation. Demand pull inflation, it is because of expansionary, like increase in demand, because of increase in government expenditure, because of inflation forecast that in the future the inflation can come. So you start demanding more right now. So the more demand right now create more inflation or create the increase in the prices. Cost push inflation, it is because of the cost of production. If the cost of production is increasing, that means if the wages are increasing, or if there is the increase that is coming in the price of raw material, so that is causing the cost push inflation. So with the increase in the cost of production, there is the decrease in the aggregate supply that happens, that if the cost of production is increasing, your aggregate supply decreases, that ultimately lead to increase in prices. So this is correct. According to Phillips curve, there is inverse relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate. So when the inflation rate is decreasing, the unemployment rate will increase. So this is wrong. Although the statements are correct, only the E statement is wrong. Okay. So now coming to the next question, that is, as per the classical economist, the aggregate supply curve is dash and output can change if. So as per the classical economists, the aggregate supply curve is upward sloping, downward sloping, horizontal or vertical. So here we are taking price level, here we are taking the output. So as per the classical theory, the output is at the full employment level of output. So aggregate supply is vertical. Aggregate supply is vertical because always it is believed by the classicals that full employment is the assumption that they have taken, that there is always full employment. So the output is being produced at the full employment level. So aggregate supply is vertical at the full employment level. So vertical, there is vertical aggregate supply curve at the full employment level, and aggregate supply, like if the output is changing, let's say this is aggregate demand. So if aggregate demand is changing, the output will not change. So output can only change when the aggregate supply is increasing. Now here the output was at full employment. So if there is increase in the land, or there is increase in the population, so labor has increased, or capital has increased, or entrepreneurship has increased, when the factors of production, when the real factors are changing, then the aggregate supply can increase. So aggregate supply will shift rightwards. Aggregate supply will increase, and with that the output can change, not with the aggregate demand. So here D was the right answer. Yes. Coming to the next question, that is in regards to the Keynesian theory, that is the assumption that the Keynes have taken. So here, prices and especially wages respond slowly to changes in supply and demand. So this is correct. This is one of the assumption of Keynes. Changes in aggregate demand have their short-run effect on real output and employment, not on prices. This is also correct. The equilibrating force between the savings and investment, this is income. That income, with the increase in income, your savings is increasing with the increase in income, and with the income, the investment is autonomous investment. So the equilibrium between the saving and the investment is brought by the equilibrium between the saving and investment is brought by the income and not interest rate. So here only the first and second statements are correct. The third statement is wrong. Okay. So here you have to tell me the correct statement. So 1 and 2 is the correct statement. So this you can read. coming to the next question, find out the equilibrium level of income using the information given. So as you know that as per Keynes, the income or the aggregate supply, this is equal to the aggregate demand. This is equal to your aggregate demand, and there is the equilibrium level of income that is being produced. So your output is actually equal to your aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment plus government expenditure. Net exports is not given here, so we will not take that. So you can easily calculate the income by the equation, okay? Yes, Nachiket, that is correct. So here the income is equal to consumption, that is 50 plus 0.8y, that is plus your investment, that is given as 200, and your government expenditure, that is given as 100. So 100 plus 200 plus 50, that is 350. 0.8y will go there, so that is 0.2y. So 0.2y is equal to 350. So that is 350 divided by 0.2. So that will give you 1750 as the answer. Okay. Yes, the PDF will be provided in the Telegram channel. Okay. So this is the idea. The answer is 1750. Coming to the next question, try to answer this question. So imports here, induced and autonomous imports. So basically the imports, they also depend upon the income. If our income are increasing, we will import more from the other countries. Okay. So there is autonomous imports that happen. Let's say autonomous imports are M dash. Then there is the marginal propensity to import. As your income is increasing, with that the imports are increasing. Okay. So let's say this is Z. Marginal propensity to import is Z. So here this ZY is your induced imports, that is increasing with the increase in income. So induced imports, they are based on the level of domestic income, and autonomous imports, they are not based on the level of income. So autonomous imports, they do not depend upon the level of income. Like we have to import oil. Even if we have zero income, we will try to take it from the other countries on the basis of our past savings or something. So this is autonomous imports that do not depend upon the current income of our country. They depend on the loans that we can take, or they depend upon the past savings of our country. Okay, so they are not based on the level of income or production in our country. So that is autonomous imports. Okay, so C is the right answer. That is your import. Here this is the import. This is autonomous import that does not depend upon the current income of our country. Then with the increase in the income, your imports are also increasing. So that is the marginal propensity to import multiplied by income. Okay, so this is the basic idea. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. If the consumption function is this, what is the B representing? So very easy question. The B is representing the marginal propensity to consume. Like in the import function, the slope, this represents the marginal propensity to import. Similarly, in the consumption function, this B represents the slope. So the slope of consumption function is marginal propensity to consume. That is, with the change in income, your consumption is increasing. With the change in income, your consumption is changing. So the slope of the consumption function is your marginal propensity to consume. Okay. Now coming to the next question, that what is the relationship between the MPC and APC, or which of the following statements is incorrect as per the Keynesian consumption function? So MPC is greater than 0 but less than 1. This is correct because the MPC is the slope of the consumption function, and as per the Keynes consumption function, the consumption function is upward sloping. So that means there is increase in consumption that is happening. Okay, so here we have autonomous consumption, and with the increase in income, your income is your consumption. With the increase in income, your consumption is also increasing. Okay, so MPC is in between 0 and 1. APC falls when the income increases. So yes, as per Keynes, your average propensity to consume is falling as the income is increasing, APC cannot be 0. Yes, APC can never be 0 because APC is equal to consumption divided by income, so, disposable income we can say. So consumption can never be 0. The total consumption can never be 0. It can, like, even with the zero level of income, there is some autonomous consumption that happens. So consumption is always positive. Okay, it can never be 0. MPC is less than APC, so yes, APC is declining with the increase in income, still the MPC is less than APC. APC cannot be greater than 1. This is wrong. So sorry, this is correct. APC cannot be 0. So this is correct, that APC can never be 0. Okay, so this is also correct. The last statement is wrong, that is APC cannot be greater than 1. APC can be greater than 1 because, as you know, that with the 0 level of income, still you are consuming something. Let's say you are consuming 100 units. So that is, there is infinite. APC is infinite. So APC can be greater than 0. So here E is the answer. That is the incorrect statement. Got it? E is the answer here. Yes. So here you can read this out. Next question, coming to the next question. If the Keynesian consumption function is C equal to 100 plus 0.5 disposable income, when disposable income is rupees 1000, what is the APC? That you have to tell me, and what is the consumption level? So try to answer that. So here, first of all, if your income is 1000, disposable income is 1000 multiplied by 0.5, that is 500 plus 100, so 600. So your consumption is 600. Your consumption is 600. What is APC? APC is nothing else, total consumption divided by total income. So your APC is 0.6, right? So yes, the answer is E here. Got it? Just you have to put disposable income here, you have to take out the consumption. APC is consumption divided by income. That's it. So E is the answer here. A decrease in marginal propensity to consume will lead to what? If the MPC is decreasing, that means there is decrease in the slope of the consumption function. So if the slope of the consumption function is decreasing, so this is your consumption function. If the slope is decreasing, that means autonomous consumption is same. There is no change in autonomous consumption, but the slope is changing. So if the slope is decreasing, your consumption function will rotate downwards. Your consumption function will lead to flatter consumption function. Your consumption function will become, or the consumption will become flatter. Got it? It will lead to the consumption function becoming flatter. If the MPC is declining, the consumption function will become flatter. If the MPC is increasing, the consumption function will become steeper. So this is the idea. Okay. So if the MPC is declining, the consumption becomes flatter. Okay. Yes. Coming to the next question. So you have the consumption function. Consumption is equal to 50 plus 0.6 YD. So this is your consumption function. What is the saving function? So this is autonomous consumption. So that means at the zero level of income, this is the consumption that is happening. So this is the dis saving. This is autonomous dis saving. If the MPC is 0.6, MPC is 0.6. Now MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So that means if MPC is 0.6, the MPS will be 0.4 because MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC on this disposable income. So the saving function is your C, that is saving minus 50. So if, as you can see, that the saving is equal to minus autonomous consumption 1 minus BY. So saving is equal to minus 50 plus 0.4 disposable income. MPC plus MPS is always equal to 1. Try to answer this question now. That is the difference between the Keynes and the Kuznets consumption function. In Keynes consumption function, APC falls as income increases, while in Kuznets consumption function, it remains constant. So that is the answer. in Keynes consumption function has autonomous consumption. So yes, Keynes consumption function is A plus BY, while the Kuznets consumption function is BY. So in the Kuznets consumption function, it does not have any autonomous consumption. So this is also correct. The value of MPC, which is less than 1, is much higher in the Kuznets consumption function rather than Keynes. So it is wrong. It is much higher in Kuznets consumption function as compared to Keynes. Okay. The Keynes function is short run consumption function and Kuznets function is long run. So this is also correct. So only the C statement is incorrect, and that's why the C is the answer here. Okay. Yes, C is the answer here. Coming to the next question. Saving is increasing function of level of income. So as your income is increasing, the saving is increasing. That is absolutely correct. So this is income. So as the income increases, you can see that your saving is also increasing. MPS is always less than unity but greater than 1. So that is correct, because if MPS is within the range of 0 and 1, the MPS will also be within the range of 0 and 1. If the saving is positive when consumption is more than income. So when consumption is more than income, the saving should be positive? No, the saving is negative. Okay, saving is negative when the consumption is more than your income. So saving is negative. So only 1 and 2 is correct. So that's why the right answer is. So the right answer is 3 only, as only the third one is incorrect. Okay. Yes. So is the answer here. Try to answer this next question. Any confusion anyone has? Are you enjoying the session? Are you enjoying the questions? Give me a fire sign if everything is clear, if you are enjoying the session. I want more of your interaction in the class. I want more of your answer. Like most of you should be answering right now. So give me a fire sign if everything is clear, if everything is understandable. And try to answer this question also. So given the saving function, that is -2. So during the equilibrium, when the aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply or income. So this is the equilibrium. So income is your consumption plus saving. Aggregate demand is consumption plus investment. So at the equilibrium, your investment is equal to saving. At the equilibrium point, your investment is equal to saving. Okay. So your saving is equal to investment. So here saving is -20 plus 0.2y is equal to investment, that is 70. Okay. So answer here will be like it will go here. So it will be 90. So 0.2y is equal to 90. So that will be 450. The income is 450. The income is 450. But do you have to calculate the income? No. You have to calculate the consumption. So consumption is your the aggregate demand is the aggregate demand is equal to income. So if aggregate demand is income is 450, aggregate demand is also 450, and aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment. So consumption, you have to calculate consumption. Aggregate demand is 450 and your investment is 70. So 70 minus 70, so your consumption will become 380. Consumption will become 380. Okay, that is your aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment. So investment is 70, aggregate demand is 450. So this will come in negative here and the consumption will become 380. So this is the answer. Yes. Here, what is the question? Find the level of consumption at the equilibrium level of income. So you have to find the consumption. Okay. Yes. Coming to the next question, that as per the theory put forward by the American economist J.S. Dusenberry, the theory suggests that as income increases, as your income is increasing, the dash remaining the same, consumption function curves shift above in the short run, so that the APC, the average propensity to consume, remains constant in long run. So simply, as per the J.S. Dusenberry, when your income is increasing, your absolute income is increasing, but your relative income, when your income is increasing, the income of the people in the society is increasing, so your relative distribution of income is remaining the same. So your relative distribution of income is same. So that is the idea. Okay. Yes. Next is, as per the life cycle hypothesis, the consumption depends inversely on which of the following factors. So as per the life cycle hypothesis, your consumption, your current consumption depends upon the life expectancy that you have, how many years you are going to live, plus your current income, plus the income that you are going to earn in the future, that is n minus 1. So this is the future that you have, the n years minus 1, and this is the expected income that you are going to earn in the future and the real wealth. So if your current income is increasing, or if your expected income, or if your real wealth is increasing, then your current consumption will increase. But your current consumption is inversely related to the life expectancy that you have. The longer that you are going to live, the lesser you are going to consume right now. So the life cycle hypothesis says that your current consumption depends inversely on your additional life expectancy. Yes. Very good. So try to now answer the next question, that is in regards to the permanent income hypothesis. So as per the permanent income hypothesis, the APC is constant in the long run and is equal to MPC, correct. Permanent income means the income that you are earning from your human wealth, from your non-human wealth. So this is the total income that you are earning in the long term. This is the long-term average income that is earned from your human and non-human wealth. So that is permanent income. MPC in the short run is more than the long run MPC. No, in the long run the MPC is higher. In the long run the MPC is higher, so this is wrong. Okay, in the short run APC falls as income increases, so that is correct. In the short run your APC is falling as your income is increasing. So all of this is proved by the permanent income hypothesis. When people actually find that the increase in income is permanent, then only they will increase their consumption. So MPC is higher in the long run, while in the short run the MPC is lower. In the short run the MPC is lower because the people are very unsure or uncertain that what might happen in the future. So MPC is lower in the short run, while in the long run the MPC is higher. So this is what the permanent income hypothesis says. So this is the crux of the permanent income hypothesis. In the short run APC falls as your income is increasing because people are not sure, they are uncertain whether the income will persist or not. Okay, but when they actually find that the increase in income is permanent, they fully adjust their consumption to their higher permanent income. So this is the whole idea. Now moving ahead with the next question. So here, when MPC is 1, the size of multiplier is how much? And when the MPC is 0, the size of multiplier is how much? So this is the extreme cases, or this is the limiting cases of multiplier, we can say. So if MPC is equal to 1, the formula of MPC is how much? The formula of MPC is 1 upon 1, sorry, the formula of multiplier is how much? 1 upon MPC. So 1 upon 1 minus 1, so that will be infinite. The multiplier will be infinite. Okay, so when the MPC is equal to 1, the size of multiplier is infinite, and when the MPC is equal to 0, the size of multiplier will be 1. So there are the two limiting cases. Of multiplier if the MPC is equal to 1 or if the MPC is equal to 0. So I hope you were able to answer the questions correctly. Yes. Coming to the next question, yes. So the answer is infinity and 1, we can say. So when the MPC is 1, the multiplier is infinity, and when the MPC is 0, the multiplier is 1. Okay. So that is the idea. Now coming to the what is the value of tax multiplier when MPC is 0.8 and the lump sum tax increases by 100. So there is the lump sum tax multiplier. So try to answer this question. So let's continue. I hope you are able to answer this question. What is the value of tax multiplier when MPC is 0.8? So when MPC is 0.8, so minus MPC upon MPS. So MPC is what? 0.8. MPS is what? 0.2. Okay. So here the tax multiplier will be 4. Minus 4 we can say. It will be minus 4. Is it clear? Yes. So answer will be minus 4. Next is, Yes, so this is your tax multiplier. In the case of proportional tax, the formula is 1 upon 1 minus MPC plus MPC multiplied by tax rate. Okay, so this is the formula in the proportional tax multiplier when the tax is in the percentage form. When the tax is in the lump sum form, then the formula is minus MPC divided by MPS. So here, keep this in mind that proportional tax multiplier is being asked or the lump sum tax multiplier is being asked because they have different formulas. Got it? So here for the proportional tax multiplier, let's say the proportional tax is said to be 10%. The proportional tax is said to be 10%. Then it will be 1 upon 1 minus MPC plus MPC multiplied by tax rate. Okay. Coming to the next question, which of the below mentioned companies is not required to be registered with the Reserve Bank of India to carry on the business of a NBFC? So which of the following is the correct answer here? So it is the core investment companies, infrastructure debt fund, microfinance institutions, mutual benefit companies, investment and credit companies. So all of these companies have to register with the NBFC, just mutual benefit companies. They do not have to register with the RBI. Okay. So all of them except the mutual benefit companies have to register with the Reserve Bank of India. So here the answer will be yes, mutual benefit companies, they do not register with the Reserve Bank of India as the mutual benefit companies have to register with the MCA, with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay. Next is, like, I hope you know the difference between the NBFCs and the banks. So banks are registered under the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. NBFCs are registered under the Companies Act of 2013. This is the NBFCs that are under the Reserve Bank of India. So deposits that are the banks, they can take the demand deposits, time deposits. NBFCs can only take the time deposits. The payment, so banks are under the payment and settlement system. The NBFCs are not. The bank accounts are insured by the DICGC, Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. The NBFCs accounts are not insured by the DICGC. The banks issue the passbook and checkbook, the NBFCs do not. So this is the basic idea. Now try to answer the next question, that is in regards to the match the following. We have in total 95 questions. Okay, we have in total 95 questions. So fiscal deficit is your excess of total expenditure over the total receipts excluding borrowings. So this is fiscal deficit. Budget deficit is your excess of total expenditure over total receipts, correct? Revenue deficit is revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts. Primary deficit is your fiscal deficit. This is your fiscal deficit minus interest payments. So this all is correct. Just the revenue, effective revenue deficit is your revenue deficit minus the grants for the creation of capital assets. So here the effective revenue deficit will be the answer. Yes, E is the answer here, that revenue deficit minus the grant for the creation of capital asset. So it should not be expenditure, it should be deficit, the revenue deficit in total. So E is the answer here. Coming to the next question, try to read this statement and try to tell the right answer here. So here, just very easy statements are given. This policy is designed to control the inflation in the economy. So we want to decrease the inflation in the country. So when we want to decrease the inflation in the country, what we have to do? We have to do and here the focus is given to the government expenditure and spending. So that means, first of all, we are talking about fiscal policy. We are talking about fiscal policy, that is the policy of the government, because here it is clearly mentioned government expenditure or the taxes. Okay, so fiscal policy, so it is to decrease the inflation, the government has to decrease the government expenditure, increase the taxes. So that is contractionary fiscal policy. Very good. So B is the answer here. Next is, so contractionary fiscal policy is when the government is decreasing its government expenditure or increasing its taxes. Expansionary, expanding the economy means increase the government expenditure, decrease the taxes. Okay, next question is that you have to tell me the correct formula of the foreign trade multiplier. I hope you know the correct formula of foreign trade multiplier. So for the investment multiplier, the formula is 1 upon 1 minus MPC. For the government expenditure multiplier, 1 upon 1 minus MPC. For the autonomous consumption multiplier, also the formula is same. But for the foreign trade multiplier, the formula is 1 upon MP 1 minus MPC plus MPM. That is, we can say the formula is 1 upon MPS plus MPM. So this is the correct formula of the foreign trade multiplier. So the correct formula is here 1 upon MPS plus MPM. So it is not MPC, it is MPS. It is MPS. So 1 upon MPS plus MPM. Got it? So this is the formula. Coming to the next question. So try to answer this question. Try to answer this question. So in an economy, the MPC is equal to 0.5 in the economy. What will be the effect on the total income of government expenditure increases by rupees 500? So 1 upon 1 minus MPC is equal to 1 upon 0.5 here, because MPC is 0.5, 1 minus 0.5 is same. So that is, first of all, multiplier is 2. Multiplier is 2. If the government expenditure is increasing by 500, the income will increase twice. That is by 1000. Simple. The income is increasing by 1000. Yes. Coming to the next question, in an economy, the investment increases from 500 to 700. So there is change in investment by 200, and your income is increasing from 3000 to 4000. That is, change in income is 1000. So here the multiplier, the investment multiplier is, first of all, 5 is the investment multiplier, and you have to find the MPS also. So MPS is how much? What will be the MPS here? It will be 1 upon 5, so that will be 0.2, right? Yes. So 5 is the multiplier, 5 is the multiplier and MPS is 0.2. So here, this is the answer, D is the answer, okay? 5 is the multiplier and the MPS is 0.2, because if the investment multiplier is 5, so it is 1 upon MPS. So you just have to calculate like 1 upon 5. So that will be 0.2, okay? Yes, D is the answer here. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Just the government expenditure multiplier you have to calculate. So I hope you are able to answer this question. So government expenditure is increasing. Then what is the value of government expenditure multiplier? So 1 upon 1 minus MPC is the formula. So 1 upon 1 minus MPC means 0.80. MPC is how much? MPC is 0.80, right? So 1 upon 0.2, we can say 1 upon 0.2. So here the 5 is the answer. Yes. Next is lower the marginal propensity to save. If the MPS is decreasing, dash will be the multiplier, and if higher is the MPS, dash will be the multiplier effect. Yes. So lower the MPS, higher will be the multiplier effect, and higher the MPC, higher will be the multiplier. So as you know that multiplier is equal to 1 upon MPS. So if lower the MPS, higher will be the multiplier and vice versa. And in the case of MPC, the higher the MPC, the higher will be the multiplier. So here the answer will be A. Here the answer will be A. Got it? I hope this is clear. Yes. Next is, what is the value of balanced budget multiplier? So balanced budget multiplier is your the government expenditure multiplier plus tax multiplier. So your government expenditure is increasing, and in the same proportion your tax is also increasing. So the balanced budget multiplier is actually equal to 1. That is, with the increase in the government expenditure and with the increase in the taxation, there is increase in income, that is by 1. Okay. So that is balanced budget multiplier is equal to 1. Next is, which of the following statements is actually false about paradox of thrift? So kindly read the statements very carefully and try to answer this question. So first of all, paradox of thrift was popularized by J.M. Keynes, in which J.M. Keynes says that if there is recession or depression that is coming, in that scenario, the demand is low, the production is low, the employment is low. And in that scenario, if there is more savings that is done by the households, that will further decrease the demand. So that is detrimental for the economic growth. So it states that personal savings can be detrimental to overall economic growth. That is correct. In the case of recession and depression, if the people are saving, that is bad. Okay. It shows the relationship between output growth and rate of unemployment. That is wrong. The first and second statements are correct, and that's why you have to tell the false statement. So that is 3 only. So that is C is the answer here. Okay. So now coming to the next question, that if T falls to 50, so there is decrease in tax that is happening. So the equilibrium level of output will increase by how much? The equilibrium level of output will increase by how much? First of all, this is the lump sum tax, because the percentage is not given, the amount is given here. If the amount is given here, now what is the formula of tax multiplier? Minus MPC divided by MPS. So MPC is how much? It is 0.6 is your MPC, 0.6. MPS is 0.4 then, because MPS is 1 minus MPC. So here the, 1.5. So your multiplier is how much? The tax multiplier is how much? It is 1.5. So this is your tax multiplier. Okay. So tax multiplier is 1.5. That is, your income is going to increase by 1.5. So your lump sum tax multiplier is MPC divided by MPS. Like if your tax is increasing, if the tax is increasing, the income will fall. If the tax is decreasing, income will increase. Okay. So that is your lump sum tax multiplier. The proportional tax multiplier is 1 upon 1 minus MPC plus MPC multiplied by tax rate. Okay. So that is your proportional tax multiplier. So this is your lump sum tax multiplier, and this is your proportional tax multiplier. Got it? Coming to the next question, marginal efficiency of capital is positively. So marginal efficiency of capital, it shows the expected rate of profit from the additional capital stock. Okay. So it shows the expected rate of profit from the additional capital stock. So marginal efficiency of capital is positively related to dash and inversely related to dash. So it is positively related to prospective yield, the returns that you can get, and it is negatively related to your supply cost or supply price. So here the C will be the answer here. Okay. Yes. Correct. Everyone is giving the right answer. Here it would be C, prospective yield, and it is inversely, the profit, the rate of profitability is inversely related to supply cost. Next is, try to read the question and try to answer the question. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the assumptions of acceleration principle? So here the acceleration principle assumes a constant capital output ratio. That is correct. In the accelerator principle, there is constant capital output ratio. It assumes that resources are easily available. So that is also correct. The resources are easily available as per the assumptions under the accelerator principle. It assumes that there is excess or idle capacity in the capital good plant. In the capital good plant, because accelerator principle says that there is the investment that is happening, there is the increase in capital goods. So in the capital goods industry, there is excess capacity that is present. Okay. So here the third statement is wrong. First and second are correct, and that's why your answer is 1 and 2 only, that is A. Okay. So these are the assumptions of the accelerator principle. Coming to the accelerator principle, if the net investment of a country increases, that means if your capital stock is increasing, as per the accelerator equation or as per the accelerator principle, this is because of which of the following. So this is, if you remember the accelerator equation, so to increase your output, multiplied by the capital output ratio, you are increasing your capital. So to increase your output, you are increasing your capital. Okay. So here, to increase the level of output, you are increasing the level of capital. This is net investment. Net investment happens when there is the increase in capital stock to increase in the output. To increase the output, there is increase in capital stock. So it is to increase the level of output, not your total national income. No. If you know the equation, if you have seen the equation, to increase the level of output, to increase the level of output. This is the older, like on the older level of income, your older capital depends upon, but to increase the capital, you have to increase the level of income. Okay, so to increase the level of capital, you have to increase the to increase the level of output, you have to increase the capital. Okay, so that is net investment. Now try to answer this. Which of the following is known as narrow money and broad money? So in our country, which is known as narrow money and which is known as broad money among the M1, M2, M3, M4? So I hope all of you know that the narrow money is what? It is M1. And broad money is what? It is M3. M3 is the broad money and M1 is the narrow money. Okay. So here the answer is C. So narrow money is M1 and the broad money is M3. So this is just to show you the example from RBI that the RBI itself has said that the narrow money is M1 and the broad money is M3. Okay. Coming to money supply is inversely related to. So money supply is being created from your high powered money. High powered money is the actual money in the physical form. So money supply is being created from the high powered money. So money supply is inversely related to the cash reserve ratio. If the reserves have to be maintained more, if the banks have to maintain more reserves, that means banks will be able to create less money supply. If the currency with public to deposit ratio, if the currency with public is high, that means deposits are less. If the less deposits are happening, that means banks will be able to make less money supply. Okay, so the cash reserve ratio and currency deposit ratio, the money supply inversely depends upon 1 and 3. Okay, while the money supply is positively related to monetary base. So this is the formula of money supply, that is high powered money multiplied by the money multiplier. Money multiplier is your 1 plus K. K is your currency deposit ratio upon में R plus K. R is your reserve ratio and K is your currency deposit ratio. Okay, so the money supply inversely depends upon your reserve ratio and currency deposit ratio. Next is, what is the money supply if the high powered money is 2000 and the reserve ratio being 10% and currency deposit ratio being 0.2. So what is the money supply if the high powered money is 2000 multiplied by the money multiplier, that is 1 plus currency deposit ratio, that is 0.5, and divided by currency deposit ratio plus reserve ratio, that is 10%, that means 0.1. So that is 1.5 divided by 0.6. So this is multiplied by 2000. So this is M, this is money supply. So what is the amount? 5000 is the amount. Okay, so 2000 multiplied by 1.5 divided by 0.6. So this is your answer, that is 5000. Okay, got it? So formula you have to remember, the answer is D here, that is 5000. Next is, if there is a decrease in demand for money, if the demand for money is decreasing, due to decrease in income, the demand for money is decreasing as your income is decreasing. So what will happen to the rate of interest? Simple idea is that with the supply of money, if your demand for money is decreasing, with the supply for money, let's say your demand for money is decreasing. So that means the supply for money is greater than the demand for money is decreasing. So interest rate will decrease. The interest rate will decrease. Okay, supply is greater than demand, so interest rate will decrease. So here the interest rate is fall in interest rate. If you want to see it from the liquidity preference theory, so with the decrease in income, as your demand for money also decreases, because demand for money is dependent on the income in a positive manner. So if income is decreasing, demand for money will decrease. With the decrease in demand for money, as your demand for money is decreasing, the rate of interest is also decreasing. Okay. Coming to the next question, so try to answer this question. If the interest rate is higher than the equilibrium interest rate, so interest rate, this is your supply for money and this is your demand for money. Equilibrium means where? Equilibrium means in the money market. That's why we are talking about interest rate, right? So equilibrium, the higher interest rate than the equilibrium point. So your interest rate is higher. So when the interest rate is higher, the demand for money will be very low. The demand for money will be very low and the money supply will be greater. So money supply is greater than the demand for money. So here the interest rate will start decreasing. So there will be fall that will come in the interest rate. Liquidity preference, that is demand for money is higher than the, demand for money is higher than the supply for money. So there will be fall that will come. There will be fall that will come in the liquidity preference. I was saying right. You people made me confused by saying DDD. Sorry, liquidity preference will be less than the supply for money. So if the interest rate is higher, than the equilibrium interest rate, if the interest rate is higher than the equilibrium interest rate, so your demand for money, your liquidity preference is less than the money supply. Your liquidity preference is less than the money supply, and so your interest rate will start falling. Okay. Yes, it is A. So I also got, like, I saw DDD, so I also got confused. The answer is A only. Okay. That is, if the interest rate is higher than the equilibrium interest rate, so the demand for money is less than the money supply. The demand for money or the liquidity preference is less than the money supply, and if the money supply is greater than the demand for money, interest rate falls. So here A is the answer. Okay. Coming to the next question, that in the Keynesian model of goods market equilibrium, dash is exogenous variable and dash is endogenous variable. So I will take only 30 more minutes. We just have 20 more questions. Then this is done. Okay. So be attentive and try to give the right answer of the question. So here in the Keynesian model, which of the following is exogenous variable and which of the following is endogenous variable? So if you have seen the Keynes model, if you have seen the Keynes consumption or the Keynes, this is aggregate supply or this is income line. This is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus net exports. So these all are endogenous variables that are inside the model. Okay. So investment is inside the model. Investment is inside the model. But interest rate, now it was said by Keynes that investment depends upon the interest rate and marginal efficiency of capital, but this diagram or this connection has never been shown by the Keynes inside the model, inside the Keynesian model. So interest rate is the exogenous variable while the investment is the endogenous variable. So interest rate is exogenous while the investment is endogenous. Okay, so C is the answer here. That in the Keynesian model, the interest rate was exogenous and the investment was endogenous, and that's why the Keynesian model was breaking down, and that's why the ISLM model came. The ISLM model was brought so that we can bring this interest rate also inside the model. Now you can see there are the number of graphs. So ISLM model or the IS curve is bringing or is taking into account the relationship between rate of interest and investment. So in the Keynes model, the interest rate is exogenous, so that we made the ISLM model. So the Hicks-Hansen-Lerner made the ISLM model so that we can take the interest rate inside the model, inside the array of graphs. Okay. Next is, which among the following statement is regarding the IS curve? So which among the following statements regarding the IS curve is incorrect, that you have to tell me. Okay, so it is a very easy question. If you know about the IS curve, you will be able to answer correctly. So increase in autonomous consumption will lead to rightward shift in IS curve. Yes, if the autonomous changes are happening that are independent of the interest rate, then the IS curve is going to shift. The increase in interest rate, if the interest rate is increasing, that will decrease the level of income. So IS curve is not going to shift here. There is movement that is going to come in the IS curve, because IS curve shows you the combination of rate of interest and level of income. And if the rate of interest is increasing, the level of income is going to decrease. The level of income is going to decrease. So this is IS curve, and there will be movement in the IS curve from one point to another if it is because of rate of interest and not autonomous consumption. Decrease in autonomous taxes, if the autonomous taxes are decreasing, aggregate demand will increase. At the same rate of interest, your IS curve will shift rightwards. This is correct. E statement is correct. Why is it wrong? IS curve will shift rightward. At the same rate of interest, if your taxes are decreasing, your aggregate demand will increase, your level of income will increase. So IS curve is going to shift rightward. So here the answer was B. Increase in interest rate will lead to will not shift the IS curve. Got it? I hope this is clear. So the shift will come because of autonomous expenditure, autonomous consumption, autonomous investment, autonomous government expenditure. When they are increasing at the same rate of interest, your level of income is also going to increase. If there is a decrease in taxes, then also there will be rightward shift in the IS curve. But when the taxes are increasing, when the rate of interest is changing, then there will be movement. Okay. IS curve is this. It shows the combination. IS curve shows the combination of rate of interest and level of income. The IS curve, it shows the combination of rate of interest and level of income where the goods market is in equilibrium. So that is the idea of IS curve. Okay. So if the rate of interest is increasing, your level of income will decrease. If the rate of interest is decreasing, your level of income will increase. Got it, Himanshu? What about the others? Is it clear? Rate of interest will bring movement. If the government expenditure is increasing, the rate of interest is constant. Here, the rate of interest is constant. If the government expenditure is increasing at the same rate of interest, okay, at the same rate of interest, the government expenditure is increasing. With the increase in government expenditure, aggregate demand increases, level of income increases. So at same rate of interest, if the level of income is increasing, IS curve will shift rightwards. So with the increase in autonomous government expenditure, with the increase in autonomous consumption, with the increase in autonomous investment is the investment that does not, in the ISLM model, the autonomous investment is the investment that does not depend upon the level of income, and it also does not depend upon the rate of interest. It does not depend upon the level of income or rate of interest. At the same rate of interest, let's say, at the same rate of interest, the population has increased to provide for the higher population, more houses are being built and such. So more investment is required because the population has increased. So this is autonomous investment, that is with the increase in population because of outside variables, because of exogenous variables, there is autonomous investment that is happening, that is independent of level of income and level of rate of interest. Okay, so if they are increasing, rightward shift in the IS curve, or if there is decrease in taxes, rightward shift in the IS curve. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Read it carefully and try to answer this. So how does the responsiveness of the demand for money, for the transaction motive and the steepness of the curve, they are all affected. Okay, so simply if the demand for money for transaction motive increase significantly with an increase in income, so demand for money is increasing significantly with the increase in income, it will lead to a flatter LM curve? No. If the demand for money is very responsive to income, I hope you remember, if the demand for money is very responsive to income, there is a steeper LM curve. There is a steeper LM curve. So where are we able to see steeper? Here we are able to see steeper. So if the demand for money for transaction motive increases significantly with an increase in income, the LM curve becomes steeper. So first of all, with the increase in income, here it is written that with the increase in income, your demand for money is decreasing. That is not possible, because with the increase in income, your demand for money should increase as per Keynes. So when your income is increasing, your demand for money should also increase. And with the increase in income, if the demand for money is increasing by a lot, that will lead to a steeper LM curve. Okay. So C is the answer here, that if with the demand for money, if with the level of income, there is huge change in the demand for money. If the demand for money is very responsive to level of income, there will be steeper LM curve. If the demand for money is less responsive to rate of interest, there will be steeper LM curve, and vice versa. Okay. Coming to the next question, if investment is independent to rate of interest, that means investment does not depend upon the rate of interest. Investment, this is investment curve, it does not depend upon rate of interest. Whatever is the rate of interest, the investment will not change. So that means your IS curve that shows the combination of the rate of interest and level of income, Now this also does not change with the change in rate of interest because the investment is not changing. So IS curve that shows the goods market equilibrium, it also does not change with the change in level of income. So IS curve is vertical in this case. Okay. So if the investment does not depend upon the rate of interest, that means IS curve also does not depend upon the rate of interest. Now try to answer this. This is IS curve. So this is rate of interest. Now this is LM curve. LM curve is showing the combination of rate of interest and level of income. LM curve is showing the combination of rate of interest and level of income where the money market is in equilibrium. Where the money market is in equilibrium. If the money supply, if there is change in the monetary policy, if the money supply is being increasing or decreasing, the LM curve will shift rightwards or leftwards. So only the rate of interest will change. Only the rate of interest will change while the level of income will remain same. So here the LM curve, the monetary policy shifts the LM curve. The monetary policy, the money supply. If the money supply is increasing, can you tell me that LM curve will shift rightwards or leftwards? Anyone? If money supply is increasing, if there is increase in money supply, there will be, this is LM curve, it will shift rightwards or leftwards. So if money supply is increasing, there will be rightward shift in LM curve. Because at the same level of income, before there was higher rate of interest, now there is lower rate of interest, as you can see. Okay. So as the money supply is increasing, it is the LM curve that is shifting rightwards. Okay. Yes. There is rightward shift in LM curve. Because at the same level of income, because of the increase in money supply, at the same level of income, the rate of interest has decreased because of the increase in money supply. Okay. So simply because of the changes in the monetary policy, because of the changes in the money supply, it shifts the LM curve. And when the LM curve is shifting, IS curve is constant now. Now the IS curve is vertical. So if the IS curve is vertical, this is the level of income and this is the rate of interest. If IS curve is vertical and this is the LM curve, even if the LM curve is shifting rightwards or leftwards, it is not able to change the level of output. So with the vertical IS curve, a change in monetary policy shifts the LM curve, which will only change the rate of interest. Only the rate of interest is changing while the output is constant. While the output, as you can see, it is constant. It is not able to change with the change in LM curve. Okay. Now what can change the output? If the IS curve shift rightwards, if there is the rightward shift in IS curve, let's say government expenditure is increasing, autonomous investment is increasing, or any kind of like autonomous consumption is increasing, IS curve will shift rightwards, and so this is LM curve. There will be increase in the level of income from Y1 to Y0 or Y2. Okay. So here the LM curve is useless in a way, and any changes in the LM curve or the monetary policy is ineffective here. The monetary policy is ineffective while the fiscal policy is quite effective. If the government expenditure increases, IS curve shift rightward and the level of income can increase. Okay. So this is the idea that LM curve shift, and here if the LM curve is shifting, it will only change the rate of interest and the level of output may remain constant. So monetary policy is quite ineffective here to change the level of income. Coming to the next question, if the government adopts the contractionary fiscal policy, dash curve will shift and level of income and rate of interest will, what will happen to them? In the normal scenario, when you have, this is your IS curve and this is your LM curve. So in the normal scenario, what will happen that in the normal scenario, if the contractionary fiscal policy is coming, that means government expenditure is decreasing, or the taxes are increasing. In this normal scenario of IS curve and LM curve that are showing the combination of rate of interest and level of income, the IS curve will shift leftward first of all. Because the government expenditure is decreasing, contraction is coming, so IS curve will shift leftward. With the leftward shift in the IS curve, there is decrease in rate of interest and there is decrease in the level of income. So if the government adopts contractionary fiscal policy, IS curve will shift leftwards and there will be decrease that will come in both of the level of income and rate of interest. Okay. So here fiscal expansion, if the government expenditure is increasing, IS curve will shift rightwards and there will be increase in the rate of interest and level of income both. Okay. Level of income is not able to increase by the full multiplier. Level of income is only increasing partially. because of increase in rate of interest. If there is fiscal contraction, if the government expenditure is decreasing, if there is decrease in government expenditure, you can understand that IS curve will shift leftward, and with that the interest rate will decrease and the level of income is also decreasing. Monetary expansion, money supply is increasing, LM curve will shift rightwards. With the rightward shift in LM curve, there will be decrease in the rate of interest and increase in the level of income. Level of income is increasing, rate of interest is decreasing. If there is monetary contraction, LM curve will shift leftwards and the rate of interest will increase. Rate of interest will increase and your level of income is decreasing. So this is the summary that I have provided to you in one image. I have tried to provide you the whole summary. Okay, coming to the next question. Now try to answer this question, that when the LM curve is horizontal and in what scenario the LM curve is vertical. So LM curve is horizontal. LM curve is horizontal when the demand for money is horizontal. Demand for money is horizontal. The demand for money is horizontal when there is liquidity trap. That means when there is zero interest responsiveness. When, see, demand for money, LM curve is horizontal when the demand for money is horizontal. That means demand for money is perfectly elastic to the rate of interest. Demand for money is infinitely elastic to the rate of interest. Okay. Now, LM curve is vertical when the demand for money is vertical. That means demand for money is not changing with the rate of interest. Demand for money is vertical means demand for money is not related. It is perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. It is not changing at all, or we can say it is zero interest elastic. Okay. So LM curve becomes horizontal when the economy is in a liquidity trap. When the demand for money is horizontal, then the LM curve will be horizontal, and demand for money is horizontal means there is infinite interest responsiveness of the demand for money. And it becomes vertical, the LM curve becomes vertical when the demand for money is vertical and there is zero interest responsiveness of the demand for money. Demand for money is not changing at all. It is zero responsive with the rate of interest. So that is the idea. Okay. So C is the answer here. Very good. Now coming to the next question, that is a very easy question. So Fisher equation, I hope you all have studied the quantity theory of money. The quantity theory of money. So as per the Fisher equation or the Fisher version of the quantity theory of money, this shows the relationship between quantity of money and the price level. Fisher cash transaction equation is expressed as the demand for money is equal to price level multiplied by transactions divided by velocity. So at the equilibrium level, your demand for money is equal to supply for money. So actually the equation is supply for money multiplied by velocity is equal to price level multiplied by transaction. So we can say at the equilibrium, the money supply is equal to demand for money. So you just have to take the V there, and price level multiplied by transaction divided by V is the equation. So C is the answer. Try to read the question now and try to answer this. So here, as per the Cambridge cash balance approach, they put forward a view that public likes to hold the demand for money is in the proportion of nominal income. Nominal income is your price level multiplied by real income. Okay. So the equation is that the demand for money depends upon your nominal income. K is the proportion that out of your nominal income, how much money demand you are creating. This cash balance theory places emphasis on the function of money as a medium of exchange. No, it was the Fisher, it was the classical economists that said that money is used as a medium of exchange, while the Cambridge cash balance approach says that the money is used as a store of value. So Cambridge cash balance approach said that the money is used as a store of value. Okay. Cambridge cash balance theory of demand for money was put forward by Marshall, Pigou and other Cambridge economists. That is correct. So only the C statement is incorrect, and that's why C is the answer. So the cash balance theory of demand for money puts emphasis in the function of money as a store of value. Okay. So that is the answer. Now try to answer 82. This next question. So as per the Fisher quantity theory of money, the velocity of, so the Fisher equation is money supply multiplied by velocity is equal to price level multiplied by transaction. So he has considered that he was a classical economist. So he said velocity is constant and your output is at full employment. So your transactions are also constant. So if money supply is changing, if money supply is increasing, price level will increase and they will increase in the same proportion also. So velocity of money is constant, transactions are also constant, the total volume of trade or transactions are constant. Price level is a passive factor, which means that the price level only changes when the other factors are changing. So when the money supply increases, the price level increases because of the changes in the money supply. So price level changes directly and proportionately with the money supply. So when the money supply is increasing, price level will increase in the same proportion. Money is held for speculative purpose? No. The money is held for transactionary purposes as a medium of exchange. So as per the classical economists, the money is held for the medium of exchange. So money is a medium of exchange. Okay. So this is what the Fisher or the classical economist has said. Now try to answer the next question, that according to Phillips curve, inflation depends on which of the following factors. So as per Phillips curve, as your level of if the inflation rate is increasing, your unemployment rate will fall. So as per the Phillips curve, there is the equation that is given that the inflation depends upon inflation expectation. If you are expecting that the inflation can come in the future, so you will start demanding more right now, so the prices will start increasing with your higher demand right now. So the inflation expectations lead to higher inflation, okay, minus unemployment rate. So let's say the current unemployment rate is very high, that is, let's say 8%, while the natural rate of unemployment that should sustain in the economy is 5% only. So that means there is a cyclical unemployment is coming. That means your current unemployment is higher. Your current unemployment is higher than the cyclical unemployment, the natural rate of unemployment. Okay, so there is cyclical unemployment is coming. That means there is recession or depression is coming in the economy, due to which there is high unemployment. Due to recession or depression, there is high unemployment that is present. So if the unemployment rate is currently high, there is a negative relation between unemployment rate and inflation rate. So there is negative relation, inverse relationship between the inflation rate and unemployment rate. So if the unemployment rate is higher, the inflation rate will be lower, and that is shown by this negative sign. As well as the inflation also depends upon the supply shock. Supply shock, okay, if there is supply shock that is coming. So let's say that oil prices have increased. With the increase in oil prices, the aggregate supply is decreasing with the decrease in aggregate supply. So when the cost of production increases, the aggregate supply decreases. When the cost of production increases, the aggregate supply decreases and the inflation comes in the economy. So the inflation depends upon expected rate of inflation, extent to which unemployment rate deviates from the natural rate of unemployment, and supply shock in the economy. So if there is supply shock that is coming in the economy, that means if there is supply shock that is coming, so this is aggregate demand, this is aggregate supply. So if supply shock is coming, what will happen? Sorry. This is aggregate demand that is downward sloping with the price level, and this is your aggregate supply. So if the cost of production is increasing, if there is any kind of problem that is coming in the cost of production, like if the raw material prices are increasing, so aggregate supply will decrease and the price level is increasing, that you can see. Okay, so this is the scenario. These are the causes of the inflation. Okay, so that is 1, 3 and 4 is the answer here. Next is the idea of stable Phillips curve collapsed during the stagflation because of which of the following? So try to answer this question now. The idea of stable Phillips curve collapsed, leading to the stagflation. Stagflation means the prices are increasing as well as the unemployment is also increasing. So this, like during the stagflation, what happened? The Phillips curve shifted rightwards. The prices were increasing, the price level was increasing, as well as the unemployment rate was also increasing. The unemployment rate was also increasing. So in this scenario, what happened? That there was, first of all, there was leftward shift in IS curve. Sorry. This is aggregate supply So the oil prices started to increase. With the increase in oil prices, the cost of production is increasing because oil or petrol, they are used in all of the industries, we can say, for transportation, for their raw material and such. So if the cost of production is increasing, aggregate supply decreased, so the level of prices started to increase. As the prices are increasing, the unemployment was also increasing at that time. So what happened? So here you can see that as the prices are increasing, the output is decreasing. Output is decreasing, lesser output. For the production of lesser output, you require less laborers, so unemployment is also increasing. So as the aggregate supply shifted leftwards, as there was leftward shift in aggregate supply, the Phillips curve shifted rightwards, because here the inflation rate, the price level is also increasing, and with the increase in price level, the unemployment rate was also increasing. The unemployment rate was also increasing. Got it? Any confusion? So with the leftward shift, with the leftward shift in aggregate supply due to the increase in prices, there was rightward shift that was coming in Phillips curve. Okay. So as there was leftward shift in aggregate supply, there was rightward shift in Phillips curve that showed that the inflation rate is increasing, and with that unemployment rate is also increasing. Coming to the next question. So here, which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Monetary Policy Committee? Try to answer this. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Monetary Policy Committee? It's a 6-member body including the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. It functions under the chairmanship of the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. It meets at least, it has to meet at least 4 times in a year. Okay. So that is the idea. So here only the first statement was correct, all the other are incorrect. The second and third are incorrect. That's why 1 only is the answer. Okay. Yes. Coming to the next question. If the SLR and the CRR is being decreased by the Reserve Bank of India, if the ratios are being decreased, that means the banks have to hold less money. Like SLR is a percentage of NDTL that the banks have to keep with themselves, or CRR is a percentage of NDTL that the banks have to keep with RBI. So if the SLR or CRR are decreasing, the banks have to keep less money with themselves or with the RBI, so they have more money to lend. So commercial banks will have more money to lend. So D is the answer here. Next is, which of the following is or are not the feature of expansionary monetary policy? Expansionary monetary policy means RBI is trying to increase the money supply. So try to answer this question now. RBI will be doing the expansionary monetary policy, increasing the money supply when the RBI wants to increase the demand. Usually this is followed during the case of the recession or depression, where the RBI has to increase the money supply so that the demand can increase in the economy. Like during the COVID situation, we used this expansionary monetary policy. And during this time period, the rate of interest was decreased a lot. Whenever the money supply increases by a lot, rate of interest decreases. So that at lesser rate of interest, more loans are taken, so that more demand can be created. Okay. So repo rate is decreased so that the interest rate can decrease in the economy. So it leads to more money supply. Decrease in repo rate should happen so that the interest rate can decrease in the economy. It boosts the aggregate demand and economic growth in the country. So C is the answer here, that it is not a feature of expansionary monetary policy. Whenever there is expansionary monetary policy, the rates have to be decreased, especially the repo rate, because this is the key rate in the economy. Try to answer this question, that capital inflows in the capital account does not include which of the following. So here the balance of payment we are talking about. So in the balance of payment, there is capital account. In the balance of payment, there is current account and capital account. In the current account, we include the trade of goods, trade of services and transfer payments. Trade of services and transfer payments together are known as invisible trade. Okay, trade in goods or trade of goods, this is known as balance of trade or visible trade. Now in the capital account, you have the investment, you have the borrowings and the assistance that you are getting. So investment, borrowings, non-resident deposits. This is the deposit that is coming into our country. So this is a liability for our country because we have to return this money. So this is a liability. So capital account includes the liabilities of our country, or it includes the assets of our country. Okay, so this is non-resident deposit is also a liability. This is also included in the capital account. Now coming to the gifts and grants. Gifts and grants is something that is included in the transfer payments. We are getting the grants or we are giving the grants, we are getting the gifts or we are giving the gifts. So that is not a liability or that is not an asset. We will not get the money back if we have given it, or if we have taken the money, we do not have to return the money. That is what is the meaning of gift or grant. Okay, so this is a part of current account, not capital account. Got it? Next is the IS curve equation is given. Here the IS curve equation is y is equal to 1 upon 1 minus b. This is autonomous, whatever autonomous factor there is, autonomous investment, autonomous consumption, autonomous government expenditure and such, minus di. So here multiplier. As you know that the IS curve depends, the slope of the IS curve depends upon the multiplier. Okay, it depends upon the multiplier. If the multiplier is high, just tell me if the multiplier is high, the IS curve will be steep or flat. The IS curve will be steep or flat. Can you tell me? The IS curve will be steep or flat depending upon the multiplier. If the multiplier is high, the IS curve will be flat. IS curve will be flat. Kindly focus here. We will discuss all of that like at the end of the session. Okay, as well as so this is multiplier on which your slope depends upon, that the IS curve will be steep or flat. Next is D. D means what? D means that with the change in interest rate, how much is the change in investment? That means it shows the interest responsiveness of the investment demand, how responsive the investment demand is with the interest rate. Okay, so IS curve is flat when the investment demand is very responsive to the interest rate. So here this is multiplier 1 upon 1 minus b, and this is D. That shows, this D shows the because here this is the investment function, that this is autonomous investment that does not depend upon the rate of interest or level of income. This is your DI. D shows you that with the change in interest rate, how much is the change in investment. So this somehow is showing you the responsiveness of the investment demand with the rate of interest. If the investment demand is very responsive to the rate of interest, the IS curve will be flat. So this D is showing you in this equation of IS curve, this D is showing you the responsiveness of the investment demand with the rate of interest. So if D and this 1 upon 1 minus b, that is multiplier, they both show you the slope. Okay, so here the answer is D. Got it? So this multiplier and the D, that is your responsiveness of the investment demand with interest rate. So they both show the slope of the IS curve. Now coming to this is the equation for the LM curve. LM curve equation is the I. LM curve is the equation I is equal to 1 upon H bracket में K Y minus M upon P. M upon P is the real money supply that is happening. Money supply, nominal money supply divided by the price level. Okay. Now H is what? H is the how responsive the demand for money with the interest rate. K shows you that how responsive the demand for money is with the level of income. So the IS curve, the slope of IS curve depends upon this H and K. The slope of IS curve, that how, sorry, the slope of LM curve, the slope, this is the equation of LM curve. So the slope of LM curve, this depends upon the H and K. It depends upon the H and K, that how responsive the demand for money is with the level of income, or how responsive the demand for money is with the rate of interest. Okay, so the slope of LM curve is shown by this H or K, that is how responsive the demand for money is with the rate of interest, or how responsive the demand for money is with the level of income. Clear? Got it? Any confusion? Got it? Yes or no? So your IS equation is y is equal to 1 upon 1 minus b, that is your multiplier, autonomous consumption minus, or autonomous factors minus DI. D is your responsiveness of investment demand with the rate of interest. So on this and this, your slope of the IS curve depends upon. The LM equation is I 1 upon H bracket में ky minus real money supply. So this H shows the demand for money with the rate of interest, and K shows the responsiveness of the demand for money with the level of income. So on these two factors, the slope of the LM curve depends upon. Got it? Nice. So this is what, like, if the equation directly the equation will be given, and it can be asked that, let's say IS curve equation is given, the LM curve equation is given, I is equal to 1 upon H K Y minus DI. So it can be asked that on which factors the slope of the LM curve depends upon. So that is H and K. Okay, if the demand for money, just tell me if the demand for money is very responsive to the level of income, that is K is high, and the demand for money is less responsive to the rate of interest, that means H is low. So in this case, the LM curve will be steep or flat. Anyone knows that if K is high and H is low, that means if demand for money is very responsive to the level of income and demand for money is less responsive to the rate of interest, LM curve will be steep or flat. This much you should know, because in the previous year there was an easy question from here. Yes, the LM curve will be steep because the demand for money is very responsive to the level of income, that means K is high. So when K is high, that means demand for money is very responsive to level of income. In that case, we will have a steep LM curve. Remember the conditionalities of the steep LM curve. When the demand for money is very responsive to level of income, that causes a steep LM curve. That's it. Okay, Kailash, got it? Coming to the next question, try to answer this question. Business cycle occur from time to time. That is correct. They do not have a set timeline, but they do occur from time to time. They are synchronic. That means if this business cycle starts from one place, but it spread to the other part of the country and the world also, it happens. Fluctuations occur only in the level of production. No, demand decreases, the production decreases, investment decreases, employment decreases. So there is the other factors also that is affected. Investment and consumption of durable consumer goods are affected most by cyclical fluctuation. So yes, because if we are talking about non-durable goods such as food, vegetables, that we have to consume even if we are in the boom phase or in the contraction phase. But investment, very high investment happens, very high consumption of durable goods when we are in the boom phase. But when we are in the contraction phase, investment decreases a lot. Durable good demand, like the demand for car, scooty and such, sofa, TV, such demand decreases. So yes, the investment demand and durable good demand is very much affected by the cyclical fluctuation. So only the third one was wrong, other are correct. So 1, 2 and 4 is the answer here. Okay. So 1, 2 and 4. So these are the features of business cycle that you can read. So I have provided this in the PDF. Next is, which of the following is or are not the characteristics of economic recession? So try to answer this question. So here, the economic recession is coming, fall in level of investment, income, wages, interest rate, they are also falling. Investors' confidence is also falling, they are adversely affected. Interest rate is increasing. So that is fall. Interest rate should also be falling when the investment demand is falling. When the confidence of the investors is falling, so the interest rate should also be falling. So D is the answer here, that it should not be increasing, the interest rate should be falling. So this is the key or significant feature of contraction. Next is regarding the NBFCs, that the top 10 NBFCs as well as the NBFCs that are handpicked by the RBI in the matter of the regulatory requirement and such, these NBFCs will be residing in which layer? Base layer, middle layer, upper layer or top layer? So the top 10 NBFCs on the basis of asset size as well as some additional NBFCs specifically identified by the RBI, they reside in the upper layer. The top layer usually remains empty. Okay. So the answer here is upper layer, that is C is the answer. Now Next is, what is the maximum period of NBFC can take a deposit? So NBFCs can only take time deposits, that is for a timeline. They can take the deposits for minimum 12 months and maximum, how many months? Maximum 60 months. Okay, maximum is 60 months. Okay. Yes. Next is, a company desirous of commencing business of non-banking financial company should have a minimum net worth of dash as per the general regulation of RBI. Here, try to answer this question. This is your 94th question, that is second last question. Let's see how many of you are able to tell this. Here the answer is yes, 200 lakhs. Okay. So as per the general regulation of the Reserve Bank of India, the minimum net owned fund of the NBFC should be 200 lakh and the minimum capital adequacy ratio should be 15%. Okay. Coming to the last question for today, and this is the last question, try to answer this. Deflation is what? Deflation is the fall in the general price level. Stagflation is the combination of inflation and unemployment. That is, inflation is also coming in the country, unemployment is also rising. Okay. Disinflation is reduction in the rate of inflation. Disinflation is when your rate of inflation is decreasing. Decreasing rate of inflation. Rate of inflation is positive, but it is decreasing. Reflation means increase in prices when the government action is taken to counter, to fight against the contraction in the economy. So this is also correct. Skewflation is that there is inflation that is coming. There is inflation that is coming in a group of commodities or only in a set of commodities. Okay. So that is, let's say only in food group the inflation is coming, or only in fuel group the inflation is coming, or only in the manufactured goods the inflation is coming. So when the inflation is coming only in a set of commodities, or when the prices are rising for only a set of commodities, so rather than calling inflation, we call it skewflation. Okay. So prices of a set of commodities rise while the overall price level remains stable. So this is wrong, skewflation is wrong, and E is the right answer. Got it? So this is the definition that is provided to you. Skewflation is a type of inflation in which the prices of a single commodity or a set of commodities, not a single commodity, a single group of commodity or a set of commodities rise while the overall price level remains constant. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. Any confusion anyone has? Yes. So this is it for today's session. I hope like you have understood everything, and now is the time for you to practice a lot of MCQs. So if any mistake you have done, if anything is not clear to you, so you can see the session again, or you can watch that part, or try to solve the questions again by yourself. Okay. You're most welcome, Himanshu. I hope you enjoyed the session, everyone, and I hope you were able to understand the level of the questions and you were able to try the level of questions. Of course, the level of questions is very high because I want you to be prepared for any level of questions in the examination. Okay. So this is it. You're most welcome, everyone. So I hope you liked the session. Thank you so much for joining the session. And this is it from my side. I tried to bring the questions from all the chapters. So I tried to touch all the chapters in a way. So this is it from my side. Thank you very much. And I hope you liked the session. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.